Welcome to this explainer on the coldest, driest, and literally the windiest continent on our entire planet. Today, we're journeying to the absolute edge of the world. We're talking about Antarctica, the last great wilderness on Earth. And no, it's not just some exclusive VIP lounge for penguins. You really have to wonder, why is this incredible place one of the most fiercely protected environments on the globe? Why does an entire massive continent remain almost completely untouched by modern civilization? It's a pretty staggering thought when you really sit with it. We are talking about a landmass larger than the United States and Mexico combined, yet it's completely off limits to permanent civilization. There are absolutely zero permanent cities, zero independent governments, and no military bases. In a world where humanity has settled almost every imaginable corner, Antarctica just stands alone, in total complete isolation. And well, because of that intense isolation, Antarctica has basically become the ultimate blank canvas for human imagination. If you've spent any time scrolling on social media, you've definitely seen the viral theories. Videos claiming governments are hiding the greatest secret in human history. We're talking stories of a lost city of Atlantis, enormous pyramids buried beneath the snow, secret bases, and yeah, even hidden alien technology. But I want you to stop and ask yourself something. What if the real story is actually way more extraordinary than those internet myths? What if Antarctica truly does hold Earth's hidden history, not because of some mysterious lost civilization, but because it preserves something far, far more valuable than any buried treasure? Well, that is exactly what we're going to unpack today. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, Myths of the Frozen South. Before we get to the really mind-blowing hidden history, we need to understand the sheer, imposing scale of this frozen landscape as it exists right now. It is truly a world of extremes. Antarctica covers nearly 5.5 million square miles. And get this, 98% of its surface is buried beneath a massive ice sheet. In some places, that ice is over 3 miles thick. Because of this, a staggering 70% of all the fresh water on the entire planet is locked up right here in Antarctica's ice. It's almost hard to wrap your head around. And the stakes, with all that ice, they're incredibly high. 200 feet. That is exactly how much global sea levels would rise if every glacier in Antarctica melted. We aren't just talking about shifting a few coastlines. We're talking about major cities like New York, Miami, London, Shanghai, Sydney, and Tokyo facing unprecedented, catastrophic flooding. Flooding unlike anything humanity has ever seen. The ice isn't just a feature of Antarctica, it's literally the anchor of our global climate. Moving on to Section 2, a prehistoric green paradise. Because you see, the ice wasn't always there. Let's travel back millions of years in time, long before humans even existed, to an era when this continent looked completely and utterly different. The contrast here is just absolutely staggering. On one side, we've got the modern frozen desert we all know, but on the other, ancient Antarctica. Long before it was a giant icebox, back when dinosaurs ruled the Earth, Antarctica was part of a massive supercontinent called Gondwana. And we know this for a fact. Scientists have actually discovered fossilized roots, pollen, leaves, and real dinosaur remains perfectly preserved beneath the ice. And no, they definitely weren't wearing snow boots. This proves that Antarctica was once a warm, thriving, green paradise with towering trees and rushing rivers. It literally took tens of millions of years of continental drift, shifting ocean currents, and dropping temperatures for snow to build up and compress into the giant ice sheet we see today. Which brings us to Section 3, debunking internet conspiracy theories. With a prehistoric origin story that dramatic, it makes perfect sense why people's imaginations run a little wild. So, we need to methodically fact-check those sensational internet rumors surrounding the continent's isolation. Right off the bat, the biggest misconception out there is that Antarctica is blocked off by some massive government cover-up. The actual reality? It's the 1961 Antarctic Treaty System. Dozens of countries came together and agreed to dedicate this entire continent solely to peaceful scientific research. So military operations, completely prohibited. Nuclear testing is banned, and mining is heavily restricted. It's really not about keeping people out to hide top-secret aliens. It's about preserving one of Earth's most incredibly fragile ecosystems. Even waste from research teams literally has to be shipped all the way back home just to prevent contamination. Let's systematically break down the biggest myths we see floating around online. First up, Atlantis. Some folks claim the lost city drifted south and froze over, but geology tells us continental drift takes tens of millions of years. By the time humans even evolved, Antarctica had already been a solid block of ice for millions of years. Second, those alien pyramids everyone talks about? Hold that thought, we'll get to those in just a second. Third, the famous 1513 Piri-Reis map, which supposedly shows an ice-free Antarctica centuries before it was even discovered. Well, historians and cartographers have completely debunked this. It actually just shows a highly distorted coastline of South America. That's it. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the actual truth behind those viral pyramid pictures. Geologists call them nunataks. These are simply mountain peaks that have been heavily sculpted by glaciers, extreme freezing, and the constant, relentless grinding movement of ice over millions of years. Nature is perfectly capable of producing astonishingly symmetrical, pyramid-like structures through sheer erosion alone. There is absolutely no evidence, none, that these were built by some ancient civilization. All right, moving on to section 4, the real hidden treasures. Because honestly, it's kind of ironic that while the internet obsesses over fake alien pyramids, they're missing out on the actual mind-blowing scientific discoveries hiding right beneath the ice. The reality is so much cooler than the conspiracies. Using advanced radar, satellites, and seismic imaging, scientists have managed to peer straight through miles of solid ice to map an awe-inspiring, completely hidden landscape. We're talking about spectacular subterranean wonders here, massive mountain ranges that are literally taller than the Alps in Europe, huge canyons stretching for hundreds of miles, ancient river valleys just completely frozen in time. And honestly, perhaps the most spectacular discovery of the whole bunch, over 400 subglacial lakes that no human eye has ever directly seen. The absolute crown jewel of these hidden bodies of water is Lake Vostok. This absolute behemoth of a lake lies permanently sealed beneath 2.5 miles of solid ice. Scientists believe it has been completely isolated from the outside world for up to 15 million years. I mean, really think about that for a second. While humanity evolved and civilizations rose and fell on the surface, this ecosystem just sat there, completely untouched. And when scientists carefully, and I mean very carefully, sampled it, they found extreme microscopic life actually thriving down there in total darkness, freezing temperatures, and crushing pressure. This discovery has totally revolutionized biology, and here is exactly why it matters so much. Researchers believe that the extreme ice-covered environment of Antarctica's subglacial lakes perfectly mirrors the subsurface oceans found on Jupiter's moon Europa and Saturn's moon Enceladus. The crucial takeaway here is this: if life can find a way to survive beneath miles of punishing Antarctic ice, similar forms of life could absolutely exist right now in the frozen oceans of our outer solar system. How incredible is that? But the scientific treasures definitely don't stop underground. Antarctica's surface is essentially the universe's ultimate lost and found. Because the continent is so incredibly cold and dry, it preserves space rocks perfectly. And visually, a dark meteorite stands out like a sore thumb against an endless, stark white backdrop of ice. This makes Antarctica one of the richest, most productive hunting grounds for meteorites anywhere in the world. Scientists have recovered tens of thousands of specimens out there, including some impossibly rare pieces of Mars and the Moon. It's literally helping us figure out how our solar system formed 4.5 billion years ago. And that brings us to Section 5, Earth's Frozen Climate Archive. We've looked at ancient fossils and space rocks, but we're now arriving at the most crucial revelation of this explainer. Antarctica is, quite literally, the ultimate memory bank of our planet. Let's move to and see how this builds. The creation of this archive is just a mesmerizing natural process. Step 1. Every single time it snows in Antarctica, that snow traps tiny microscopic bubbles of air from the atmosphere. Step 2. That snow accumulates year after year, century after century. Step 3. The immense weight of the new snow compresses the older layers beneath it into solid ice, permanently locking those tiny air bubbles inside. And finally, Step 4. Scientists bring in massive drills to extract ice cores that go over 2 miles deep. These frozen cylinders are literal time machines. Just look at the timeline of Earth's climate history we can actually read from these cores. 100 years down gives us recent atmospheric data. 1,000 years down, and we are literally breathing the exact same air as knights from the medieval period. Go down to ice from 100,000 years ago, and scientists can precisely measure carbon dioxide levels, methane, and even find solid evidence of volcanic ash and massive ancient wildfires. The deepest cores preserve a continuous, unbroken record going back nearly 1 million years. Guys, no written document, no ancient monument, no archaeological site on Earth holds a longer, more flawless record of our planet's past natural climate changes. Every single layer is a page right out of Earth's autobiography. So you see, the real mystery of Antarctica isn't whether aliens built pyramids or whether Atlantis lies frozen below. It's how this one single continent became the greatest natural archive our planet has ever created. It preserves something infinitely more valuable than any fake internet treasure. It preserves the truth. A truth written not in stone, but in ice. A frozen history just waiting patiently for humanity to read it, one layer at a time. And you know what? The story is far from over. Today, as advanced satellites map out landscapes buried beneath miles of ice and robotic submarines plunge into pitch-black subglacial lakes, we really have to wonder, what frozen chapter of Earth's history are we going to uncover next? Because if there is one thing Antarctica has absolutely taught us, it's that the greatest discoveries are often hidden in the places we understand the least. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious, keep learning, and I'll see you next time as we unpack another incredible topic.